Good morning, it's Norma Cowie, and this is my YouTube channel. I just was laughing 2 minutes ago when I realized I have no water. I haven't done all my vocals on my voice, so goodness knows what I'm like. But it's Sunday morning, it's 9 o'clock, and this is a Sunday thought. Tomorrow, Monday the 11th, is Remembrance Day. And I got thinking about that during probably yesterday while I was figuring out what I was going to talk about today. And, excuse the cough, I can't believe I sat here all these minutes and didn't get my water. Anyhow, that's what remembrance is about, is getting the mind to remember things. But I wanted to talk about, the majority of Remembrance Day is about soldiers who have fallen in the wars, and we remember them because they gave their lives for our freedoms. Now, the thing is, we all have people who have passed on, and we forget that when we think of them, that is an energy that goes to them, no matter how long they've been away. And even if if you believe in reincarnation, they've reincarnated and started another life. The energy of your thought is very, very powerful. And when you do it with love and with reverence and a sense of understanding of where and how and appreciation for what they have done, it could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be somebody who has done you a favor over the years or whatever it is, but someone that you have kind thoughts about, and that you send that energy to that personality that you know. As I was a late child, in a so I have a lot of older members of my family who have passed on. And it's when you're thinking about them, sometimes we forget that the thought patterns that we think about does go to them. It's kind of like a shortwave radio in a way. It's like a line between us that our thoughts can be sent and received. And especially when they're loving thoughts, especially when they're coming from a point of view as to how much you miss them or how much you care about them and trust that they're fine and happy, because time is distance. When people first depart from us and move into that transitional world, we think of them a lot because they took up a space and now that space is not taken up. And it's sad and it's difficult sometimes to adjust to that. But then as time goes by, sometimes we just get caught up in the newness that's happening, new people, new situations, new things. So just think of Remembrance Day tomorrow, of just taking a few minutes and sending a loving thought of gratitude, awareness, you said whatever it is you want to think, to people who have been kind or contributed to your life. Sometimes I've met people just in passing, but something they have said or something they have done has had an impact on me. And we forget about those people because we move on. And even though it's had an impact and a shift in our neurology or thinking or whatever you want to call it, sometimes if we can conjure up a face of the person or the vibration of the person, it still will reach them. What I find more and more is that people do not understand the death and dying process, and which is sad for me because I've spent so much of my life trying to figure it out, having older parents, watching aunts and uncles pass on, feeling often not really sure what was happening. And also this amazing quest I had inside to find out about God and how life worked. So to me, it's being able to give reverence, you could say, to people who have gone on. Sometimes when people first pass over and they leave you and they leave this big hole in your life, and you're sad and depressed or upset, and then you kind of get used to it, and so you get that hole that was left gets filled up with other things. And that's okay. That's what life is. That's what life is for the living, by the way. We are here to live. We are here to experience. But that doesn't mean that we cannot take time to send loving thoughts and remembrance to those that are there, those that are going, those that have gone before us, that have maybe left their love, their sentiment, their awareness, their strength, their understanding. It really makes me stop and pause, because my father's mother died when he was 11, but she was metaphysical. She belonged to a church. She came from England, where, of course, spirituality is very big in those days, especially over there. And she could do things like automatic writing. She did healings. She did other things as well. And I grew up with my dad, and I don't know why he talked to me about it, but he did. He would tell me stories about how she healed. And years later, this is absolutely true, and I had been studying and looking at healing and doing things. I went home for a visit to my family, because I'm in Canada, they're in New Zealand. And I said to my dad, can you show me how your mom took her healings? So he showed me how she did it. And I said, Dad, what he told me was that she would take the headache on, or she would take whatever it was on, which is the old way. I call it the old way of healing. And I said to him, do you know, Dad, if she had moved her hands out and away, she would not have had that headaches that went with her healing. And I thought to myself, jeepers, you go in to heal someone's headache, but you're going to get the headache? That's sacrifice, I tell you, that's sacrifice. And there were many things I learned from my grandmother, who was, as I said, died when my dad was 11, about the unknown. I eventually, through a person I met who happened to have the book of the person that she studied with, and I read a lot about different things at that time. But they were, to me, were old thinking, old knowledge. Even as today, a lot of what's taught is what I consider old knowledge, because people don't research themselves like I did. I went in totally into trying to figure out all the energies of it. But remember, when you are sending a thought that is going to that person, you want it to be loving, you want it to be supportive, you want it to be giving your heartfelt awareness. And mostly because this is a Remembrance Monday, is that you remember them. Something they did, something they said, something they showed, that they saw you. Because very often when we live in this busy world of ours, people don't really see you. They don't, they kind of, what do? Just kind of pass by. Even families do that. They kind of put you in a little hole sometimes and leave you there. I was very quiet as a child. Actually, that's probably not true, because I used to say I would talk to everybody and anybody. I felt quiet. I felt like I wasn't understood very much, and I daydreamed, I guess, etc. But it's like still knowing that people, my aunts and my uncles, all older, of course, because of my family, but often I would just sit, and my younger nieces and nephews and brother would say to me, you just want to sit and listen. But I used to get a lot of information from them, and the way they talked and how they viewed life and what it was out. And yes, I was young. And yes, I used to sit there and listen to them, because I was quiet. I didn't say anything. But that's what life's about. So today, or tomorrow, I should say, when I sit down, I will be able to remember specifically who, what, when, and where, and give thanks. Give thanks to them all, because from them I grew. I grew and was able to spread my wings and be able to learn a whole lot of different stuff than they had back in the late 1800s, the early 1900s, but they still did it. They still healed way back then in lots of ways. And I give thanks to my grandmother, because without my dad sharing a lot of what my grandmother did for them with their automatic writing, and which was like a miracle to me at the time as a young child listening. I don't do that. I don't do automatic writing, but I think a lot in my brain, and I've written books, etc. So it's like, it's all relative, and somewhere along the line there will be another offspring in our family tree that will come through, that has that talent, that awareness, that connection, that there is a power greater than us that we can utilize, that we can use for healing, for just being aware and understanding that things are not always as they seem on the surface, but there is a far greater, deeper thing. Well, I kind of got, as usual, a little sidetracked, but the thing is, Remembrance Day tomorrow. Remember who you need to remember. Just that little thank you for whatever it was that they gave you, whatever it could be. Thoughts are real. They are energy. And if you put love with them, it's like a super fast telegram. And you can give thanks to those that have helped you become who you are. And even though I know some of you may not particularly like maybe where you are right now, just give thanks for the knowledge that there are people who you can learn from, grow from, become from, and grow into the beingness where you're happy and you feel great about who you are. Thank you, Yvonne, for watching. I appreciate that. And I just want to say to remember to press the subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you really enjoyed whatever I said, the thumbs up, please. Appreciate it. I will see you Monday night for mental mind treatments, and we'll see what we can do on our mental mind treatments on Monday night. Bless your hearts. Have a great day today, and remember, you're loved. Bye now.